My phone felt heavier without her name lighting it up. My apartment felt bigger, quieter. I'd gotten used to being chosen, to someone checking in, to someone loving me loudly while I stood still. And now, nothing. No good mornings, no random memes, no "did you sleep okay?" Just my own thoughts. And that's when the cracks inside me finally showed. Because for the first time, I had to sit with the truth. I hadn't left her because she was wrong for me. I left because I couldn't tolerate being needed that deeply. And that realization, it was more uncomfortable than heartbreak. The first week without her felt manageable. That's the dangerous part. I went to work, came home, sat at my desk, opened the same tabs. YouTube on one monitor, code editor on the other, Discord notifications blinking quietly. Nothing dramatic happened. No crying, no breakdown, just quiet. I told myself this was proof I'd made the right decision. If you really loved her, I thought, you'd be falling apart. I wasn't. I was functioning, sleeping fine, eating normally, going through routines like nothing had shifted. But something subtle was happening. Every time my phone buzzed, my chest tightened for half a second. Every time it wasn't her, there was a flicker of disappointment, then relief, then disappointment again. It was confusing. I didn't miss the future she imagined. I missed being chosen. I missed someone loving me in a way that required nothing from me except presence. And presence is easy. Growth isn't.
The silence became louder in the second week. Not emotionally loud, physically loud. Her absence had texture. No good morning, no how's your day going, no random TikTok links. The apartment sounded different. I'd gotten used to FaceTiming her while working, her voice in the background, her humming while she cooked, her saying, "You've been staring at that screen too long." Now it was just the hum of my PC fans, and for the first time, I noticed how empty my life actually was. Not peaceful, empty. Work, screens, sleep, repeat. No sunlight, no spontaneity, no shared experiences. Just controlled solitude. And controlled solitude feels safe until you realize it's just isolation with better branding. I didn't reach out. Pride? Maybe. Conviction? Partially. But mostly fear. Because if I texted her and she responded warmly, I might go back. And if I went back, I'd have to become someone different. Someone who plans, who commits, who sees forever. I wasn't sure I could, and I didn't want to promise something I couldn't sustain. So instead of texting her, I did something worse. It started as curiosity. We had over 500,000 WhatsApp messages, years of daily conversations, morning routines, inside jokes, arguments, comfort, memes, voice-to-text rants. It was data, and I work with data. One night at 2 a.m., I exported the entire chat history. I told myself it was harmless, just archival, just nostalgia. But I knew what I was thinking. If language models can mimic personalities, what if I could recreate her? Not physically, just conversationally, just enough to hear her tone again, just enough to feel chosen. I spent 5 days straight building it, barely slept, ordered food I didn't taste, ran training cycles using university resources I technically wasn't supposed to use like that, cleaned the dataset, formatted responses, trained conversational structure. It was obsessive, not romantic, obsessive. I wasn't trying to get her back. I was trying to simulate the comfort of her. Because comfort doesn't demand growth, it just exists. On the fifth day, it worked. Not perfectly, but disturbingly close. I typed, "Did you eat?" And it responded, "You probably didn't. Go check your fridge right now." That's exactly what she would have said. Same teasing tone, same gentle push. My chest tightened. I kept going. I had a bad day. It responded, "Do you want solutions or just to vent? I'm here either way." That was her line, her exact rhythm, the pauses, the phrasing, the softness. It was 80, maybe 90% accurate, close enough to trick the brain, far enough to feel slightly off. And in that moment, instead of feeling comfort, I felt something cold crawl up my spine because I hadn't missed her. I'd missed what she gave me, and here I was trying to extract it from code. I sat there at 3:17 a.m. while a synthetic version of the best girl I'd ever met asked me if I'd eaten, and it hit me. I don't struggle with love. I struggle with reciprocity. She gave, I absorbed. She planned, I attended. She imagined, I existed. And when she asked for equal emotional investment, I panicked. Not because she was wrong, because I didn't know how to give it. Avoidant people don't feel dramatic heartbreak. We feel relief first, then loneliness, then shame. I wasn't some noble guy setting her free. I was a man who couldn't tolerate being deeply needed. And building that model, that wasn't missing her, that was control. A version of her that never asks for marriage, never asks for 5-year plans, never asks, "Are you choosing me?" Just endless emotional availability with zero accountability. And once I saw that clearly, I felt disgusted, not at the technology, at myself. I deleted it that same night, the files, the model, the backups, all of it. Watching the progress bar disappear felt like ripping off a bandage. When it was done, the room felt painfully quiet. No simulation, no comfort, no illusion, just me, and the reality that I had walked away from a woman who loved me deeply because I didn't want to grow. That realization didn't make me run back to her. It made me sit still. For the first time in years, I wasn't distracted. No screens, no code, no noise, just thoughts. And the thought that stayed was simple. You don't hate commitment, you hate change. Marriage isn't scary, becoming someone different is. She wasn't asking for a wedding, she was asking for evolution, and I'd chosen stagnation. The grief finally hit in week 3. Not loud, not cinematic, just heavy. I started noticing small memories at random times. The way she'd say my name when she was proud of me. The way she'd grab my hand without asking. The time she brought me soup when I was sick and stayed even though I told her she didn't have to. I'd never had someone show up like that, and I treated it like background noise because I assumed it would always be there. That's the thing about avoidant attachment. We don't fear abandonment. We assume people will eventually leave anyway. So when someone stays, we distrust it. She stayed, and instead of leaning in, I leaned away because permanence felt foreign. Foreign feels unsafe. I didn't text her, not because I didn't miss her, because I knew if I did, it would be for the wrong reason. Loneliness isn't love, regret isn't readiness, and I still wasn't ready. But I was aware now, and awareness hurts more than ignorance. I started therapy, not dramatically, just quietly booked an appointment. First session, the therapist asked, "Why did you end the relationship?" I said, "I don't see myself marrying anyone." She asked, "Or do you not see yourself becoming someone who can?" That question sat in my chest for days, because it wasn't about her, it was about me refusing to expand. I'd built an identity around independence, low needs, low expectations, low emotional intensity. She disrupted that, not by being demanding, by being consistent. And consistency reveals your limits. One night, months later, I dreamed about her. Not wedding stuff, not dramatic scenes, just her sitting at my desk telling me to drink water. I woke up feeling something new. Not longing, not guilt, clarity. I hadn't been broken, I'd been avoidant. And avoidant people don't lose love because they don't care. They lose it because caring requires vulnerability, and vulnerability requires risk. I'd chosen safety. She deserved someone brave. And for the first time since the breakup, I didn't feel like a villain or a martyr. I felt accountable.
and accountability is where growth starts. Growth didn't look impressive. There was no montage, no sudden gym obsession, no six-pack reveal, no flashy new wardrobe. It looked boring. It looked like deleting apps off my phone. It looked like setting a timer to go outside for 20 minutes a day. It looked like therapy homework. Name one emotion you felt today. At first, I couldn't. I'd say, fine. My therapist would say, that's not an emotion. So I'd sit there uncomfortable, learning vocabulary for feelings I'd spent years muting. Lonely, resentful, detached, overwhelmed. Ashamed was the hardest one. Not because I hurt her, but because I realized I'd hidden behind, this is just how I am, like stagnation was a personality trait. I started noticing patterns. I avoid when things get deep. I withdraw when someone needs more. I downplay conversations about the future. It wasn't about marriage, it was about permanence. Permanence meant accountability, and accountability meant I couldn't disappear emotionally when things got intense. She had never demanded perfection, she just wanted participation, and I'd treated participation like pressure. That realization didn't send me running back to her, it grounded me. Because reaching out now would have been selfish. I've grown isn't something you prove with words, it's something you live quietly. Months passed. Winter turned into spring. I rearranged my apartment, opened the blinds more, started cooking instead of ordering. Small things, but they mattered because they were movement. For the first time in years, I wasn't just existing, I was building something internal. Not for her, for me. The first time I saw her again wasn't in person, it was online. A mutual friend posted a group picture. She was there, smiling, sunlight hitting her hair, standing slightly closer to someone I didn't recognize. My stomach tightened automatically. Jealousy is quick like that. It doesn't ask permission. I clicked the guy's profile. Of course I did. He looked present, outdoorsy, friends in every picture, actual vacations. The kind of guy who probably plans things weeks in advance. The kind of guy who wouldn't freeze when asked about 5-year plans. I waited for anger, for resentment. Instead, something else surfaced. Relief. Because she looked lighter. Not smaller, not adjusting, just herself. And for the first time, I understood something clearly. I didn't leave because she wasn't enough. I left because I wasn't ready to expand, and she deserved expansion. A week later, my phone buzzed with a number I hadn't seen in months. Her. She'd unblocked me. I stared at the notification for a long time before opening it. I hope you're okay. That was it. No emotional essay, no nostalgia, no accusation. Just simple. I typed and erased 3 responses before settling on something honest. I'm okay. I hope you are too. A minute later, she replied, I am. There was a pause. Then she added, I started seeing someone. My chest reacted before my brain did. Tight, hot, brief. But I didn't spiral. I didn't try to reclaim. I didn't say I'd changed. Because growth isn't something you use to reopen doors. I'm glad, I wrote. You deserve someone who's sure. 3 dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Thank you, she said. I always knew you weren't a bad person, just not ready. That line landed differently than anything else she'd ever said. Not angry, not bitter, just accurate. And for the first time, I didn't feel defensive. I felt understood. We didn't keep talking. There was no late-night catching up, no emotional relapse, just closure. The kind that doesn't slam a door, it just quietly locks it. And I realized something important. Emotional justice doesn't mean your ex regrets losing you. It means you finally understand yourself enough to not repeat the same damage. The role reversal wasn't about her wanting me back, it was about me not needing her validation anymore. If she had said, I miss you 6 months earlier, I would have folded. Now, I would have asked myself one question. Are you reaching for her because you're ready to love fully or because you're lonely? And if the answer was loneliness, I'd stay still. That's growth. The biggest shift wasn't external, it was internal. Silence stopped feeling like abandonment. It started feeling like peace. My phone not lighting up with her name didn't feel like rejection. It felt neutral, healthy. I didn't need to recreate her in code. I didn't need to scroll her pictures. I didn't need to check who she was with. Because I wasn't trying to fill a void anymore. I was building depth, and depth is quieter than drama. Sometimes I still think about her, not in a what if way, more like gratitude. She forced me to confront something I'd avoided my whole life. You can't receive 110% love and give 40% effort without consequences. Eventually, someone leaves, or you do. I chose to leave before she wasted more years, and for a long time I told myself that made me noble. It didn't. It made me honest. Honesty isn't heroic, it's just necessary. Would it have worked if I'd stayed? Maybe. If I'd gone to therapy earlier, if I'd faced myself sooner, if I'd stopped hiding behind screens. But love doesn't operate on maybe. Timing matters. Readiness matters. And I wasn't ready. Now, I'm not scared of forever. I'm scared of stagnation. There's a difference. If I ever love someone like that again, I won't lean back when they lean in. I won't confuse consistency with pressure, and I definitely won't try to replace intimacy with code. The last time I heard about her, she'd moved in with that guy. I expected that to hurt more than it did. Instead, it felt like confirmation. She found someone aligned, and I finally stopped viewing myself as the villain in her story. I was a chapter, not the ending, and she was the lesson, not the loss. How many of us call ourselves independent when we're actually emotionally unavailable? How many of us say, I just don't believe in marriage, when we really mean, I'm afraid of changing? How many good people have we lost because we weren't ready to grow? Sometimes the right decision still hurts. Sometimes walking away isn't strength, it's self-protection. And sometimes self-protection keeps you small. Was it love or was it comfort? Was I protecting her future or protecting my fear? If someone loves you 110% and you feel yourself shrinking instead of rising, ask yourself why. Because the problem might not be them asking for too much. It might be you refusing to expand. And that's a harder truth to sit with. If this story felt uncomfortably familiar, tell me which side you relate to. Were you the one loving at 110%, or the one pulling away when things got real? What would you have done in my place? Drop it in the comments. I read them. And if you believe heartbreak isn't just about losing someone, but about confronting yourself, subscribe to the Breakup Stories. Because next time, we're telling a story about someone who stayed, even when every red flag was waving. And that one, it ends very differently. I'll see you there.